What is good, NIO family? It's Rey-Jay back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's going on with NIO, Tesla, SPY, Nvda, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers. I'm going to break down what's happening with the economic calendar thus far, some important things to be looking out for, what the news is saying about NIO, and how things could end up going forward as we're approaching the end of the month, because we're going to be seeing some very important deliveries numbers coming out. We're approaching the end of the first quarter, and some very big changes are coming to the markets, in my opinion. Before I begin the devil's information, before I get into any more details, let me just mention a couple of things. I am personally not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Moomoo link, which is down below and in the description. If you sign up for Moomoo, the link down below, and deposit $100 into the account, you are guaranteed 5 free stocks. If you deposit $1,000, you're guaranteed up to 15 free stocks, and the offer ends very soon. Anyways, for NIO, we have resistance right here at this $5 area. If we do break past this, we could see a move back up to about 5.26. And for support, we have 4.8 as a very, very critical support. This is where NIO bounced off of from this wick a couple of weeks ago, and we're going to be watching to see if that could hold us up. If we end up losing that, that's going to be a very, very bad sign, and we could see NIO eventually come all the way down to 4.5. So I want everyone to be very, very careful. But looking at this pattern on NIO, we do have a falling wedge that is forming on the chart, which does suggest the possibility of us trying to get a break. And that is a real possibility, but there's no sign of it just yet. So we just have to wait and see how things go. Now, let me first talk about some data before I break down the charts. For tomorrow, it's going to be Monday, March 25th. We have Bostic from the Fed giving a speech in the morning. And after the market opens, we basically have new home sales coming out 30 minutes after market open. Then we have some manufacturing data at 10:30 a.m. Then we have some bill auctions at 11:30, and that's pretty much it for the rest of the day. So I have a couple of pieces of data coming out. The main piece of data I'd be watching for would be this right here, the Dallas Fed Manufacturing Index. We'll be watching to see how this affects the markets, and then we'll see what happens after that. For Tuesday, we also happen to have more housing data, not to mention consumer confidence and a lot of other things like that. And just as a reminder, guys, on Friday, even though we have PCE data coming out and Jerome Powell giving a speech, the stock market is going to be closed on Friday for Good Friday. So that's going to be very important. We only have 4 days of trading for this week. We're going to start off with some minor data coming out for Monday. For earnings, I'm not really going to be playing too many of these. I don't really plan on doing it. But if you're interested in playing any of them, that's your choice too. This is what they're looking like so far. If you're interested in them, this is what the calendar is looking like. So you can take a screenshot of this if you want. If not, it's up to you. For SPY's option chain, I do see some very, very suspicious things. Firstly, for tomorrow, we have a very, very high puts to call ratio. We actually have a 2.63 puts to call ratio. Max pains at 518. Is it possible for SPY to drop a little bit more and then come back up? Or is this thing going to try to bounce? We'll be watching to see. And on top of this, I want to mention that on the 28th, which is going to be on Thursday, the last trading day of the week, we happen to have a very, very high puts to call ratio. That's going to be at 5.32. Wait, I'm sorry, guys. I think I made a mistake. The 25th is actually going to be on Monday, not the 22nd. It's the same thing at 3.07 puts to call ratio. Max pains at 520, not 518. I made a little mistake there. Sorry about that, guys. But it's basically the same thing. We have a lot of puts expiring. Not as many options, so it doesn't have to be as crazy. But the 28th, which is going to be on Thursday, that's going to be the crazy day with a 5.32 puts to call ratio, over 2 million or close to 2 million puts expiring. Just under 500,000 calls. Pretty crazy stuff, if you asked me. Thursday, not Friday. Thursday is going to be a pretty crazy day. For NIO is actually putting this on their Twitter page. Join NIO as it's trying to respond to the Earth Hour 2024 initiative to build natural and carbon neutral futures. The thing about that you have to remember is that I know NIO gets a lot of criticism, and so do a lot of other companies for trying to talk about becoming carbon neutral, because that's not really realistic for the short term. We're going to have to burn a lot of fossil fuels and carbon for decades to come, in my opinion. But we are making progress at trying to transition away from it, in my opinion. That's because of the fact that electric vehicles, during the production mechanisms, they are over time going to become cleaner, in my opinion, as different mechanisms are developed and different systems come through. And moving forward, once you drive your EV for a particular amount of miles, and eventually will break even with the amount of carbon burned. But I just want to say that I know they get all this criticism. I know it's not perfect with the whole EV sector, but I do want to say that a lot of progress is being made, and having initiatives and goals is pivotal to help actually make this a reality. We may not become carbon neutral for years, decades to come, but if we aim towards that, a lot of improvement can be made. And having this vision, having this mindset is going to be key for this company's success. It's key for any company. Now, we just had the insurance registrations come out for like NIO and the others. NIOs were not that strong, which is part of why the share price came down. But let me first say that it's not the end of the world. We're going to see more registrations coming out in just a couple of days. And then additionally, we're going to be looking for their March deliveries. NIO needs to have some strong deliveries for the share price to bounce. If they end up getting lackluster deliveries, it's not going to be the best of signs. So we're really hoping that NIO does well. Let's hope we get some good deliveries starting in the next week or so. On top of all of that, I just want to mention that NIO's William Lee Bin, the CEO, is basically visiting the battery, excuse me, the battery maker Goshen's headquarters. That is actually a good piece of news because NIO is trying to improve their battery technology. They're trying to make their batteries a lot more effective, a lot more efficient, and they want to actually improve their warranties and things like that. So that's going to be very, very key for their success because NIO is built around the battery. And with these big deals that were closed and with the CEO meeting up with others out there, this could be very, very useful for the company moving forward. So this is something interesting that's been happening for them. Their current battery supplier is CATL. That is actually, it's filed batteries from smaller suppliers as well. So they're working to basically improve this, get more and more battery production out there, and then improve their batteries in itself in terms of their range and other capabilities. So we'll have to see how that goes for NIO, at least moving forward, in my honest opinion. So it's a good piece of news that NIO is working on this. Let's hope that this improves as well, and we'll see how things go moving forward. For NIO, we had about 43 million in volume, a little bit less than average. And then on top of that, I just want to call out that you can see that the price versus short volume is still dropping a little bit. This is still within this range, so I'm not seeing a big change there. Everything else is the same. UBS gave NIO a neutral rating. Price price ratio is down a little bit, so there's not much changing there. NIO is still looking very weak, and Mondays tend to be weaker days for NIO. So I just want everyone to be very careful with statistics like this. I'm going to be watching to see what the technicals show us. So NIO is on a downtrend. It's been making lower highs and lower lows, and there's no sign of a break. To turn bullish or get a bounce, we need to break past $5. If we fail to do so, we may just range trade between 4.8 and 9. My gut is telling me that there's a very good chance that could end up happening. The chart is showing some signs that it wants to bounce here, though. I do want to note that, especially because when you look at many of our other indicators, they do kind of show big changes. Do have this bullish divergence kind of developing on the charts. So there is a chance it may try to bounce as long as we hold above 4.8. I'm hoping we try to break past $5 and try to make our way back up slowly, approaching deliveries. But just to be safe, we'll have to wait and see if we make any moves like that. So I do think there's a potential for a bounce for NIO, especially after deliveries. But just to be safe, we'll see if the technicals are correct. For tomorrow, there's a very good chance that NIO could shuffle around 4.8 and try to make its way back up. It may maintain this falling wedge for an extended period of time, right? This could still fall lower and lower. I do think that there's potential for a bounce to be coming a little bit later. So it might come down a bit. And if we end up breaking back up, if we manage to break above this resistance, I'm going to be looking for a move above $5 very soon. I think NIO could achieve that by Tuesday. So that's what I think is going to happen. It might just try to base at 4.8 is the key support, then get a bounce out of and a breakout out of this falling wedge very, very soon. As far as SPY goes, SPY could basically fall a couple of points, but as long as it holds above this white trend line right here, we're still on an uptrend. So we're allowed to fall a little bit, and we could still be very bullish overall. I think that tomorrow SPY is going to open. We're going to have a weak open, maybe at this 520 area. If we lose this, we could even sink even lower into the 518 zone. But then we could be looking for a nice bounce after that as the days go on to finish the week strong, as we have a very, very high amount of puts expiring. So I think that a little drop is going to come to SPY, then a nice bounce afterwards and a push right back up. I'm seeing something very similar to the QQQ. QQQ is dipping a bit. There's a possible inverse head and shoulders, but I'm not really counting on this as much. Could dip a little bit lower. It is still possible since we kind of like popped and dropped. Watch support at 445.76. If we drop a little bit lower, I could be looking for a retest of 444, maybe even 442. Somewhere in this range, it might retest, and we might be looking for a bounce after that. For Apple is trying to bounce here. It actually grabbed a little bit of liquidity. It's showing some weakness, so it could come down to about 170.9 again, then try to rebound and slowly make our way up to about 172.5 or higher. We have this imbalance to fill as well. So I think that Apple may help the market bounce. Maybe the market comes down a bit with Apple, then we start pushing up higher later on. So look for a little drop and bounce like move on Apple. For Tesla and then Nvda, before I conclude the video, Tesla is showing some left. It's forming a bullish wedge right here, so it might actually outperform the market and try to push up towards resistance at 172, if not 173.75. So I do see a little push coming on Tesla, but just to be safe, we'll have to see what the news gives us because Tesla is very news dependent. Technicals do look a little bullish on it nonetheless. For Nvidia, we're looking bullish as we got a nice break right over here. And I'm actually anticipating that it's going to try to continue pushing as we got this breakout from this white trend line. So I'd say it looks bullish. I think 950 could be coming. Might retrace a bit to about 930 to make its way up higher. And then last but not least, we have the one and only NIO. As I said before, NIO has potential to bounce, but we have to wait and see if we get a clean break of that $5 area. Anyways, guys, that is it for the video. I want to thank you all so much for listening. Have an absolutely incredible rest of the day. I'll see you guys very soon on the next one. Thank you and peace out.